Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy, and this is Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, a 3D action-adventure game set in the world of Middle-earth, as the title already suggests, and that follows the adventures of Talion, the undead ranger that's trying to get revenge on Sauron, or at the very least, thwart Sauron's plans to take over Middle-earth before the events of the Lord of the Rings take place. So you can guess how this story will end. Anyway, this is a game developed by Monolith Studios and published by Warner Brothers Interactive. That, while it is a good game, got a lot of controversy when it was launched, and not because of it was a shady attempt to manipulate the reviewers, but it didn't force you to pay microtransactions or waste additional currency. Waste more money on playing a single player game. I will tell you a bit more about this when we get to the gameplay itself, but first let's take a look at the options menu, and then we will take a look at the gameplay and everything else. So, as I already mentioned, this game was developed by Monolith Studios, and from my previous experiences with them, this is a game with I have a lot of expectations from this game. The minor details are not amongst my top priorities, but I know that Monolith pays a lot of attention to small details, and I'm happy to report that they didn't spare any expense on this game as well. I mean, just look at this.
Sweating. Why don't he just show himself?
Who says he's even close by?
Yeah, as you can see, the audio options will give you sound cues as to how strong or how intense the volume is, and I can also adjust every audio option with a separate slider, which is always a good thing. And I can also choose which listening device I'm using. I can turn everything down with the master volume, but I can also adjust everything separately. And that really deserves a lot of praise in my book. When a developer takes time and effort to actually make things not only easier for the player who is trying to adjust the game to work on his computer, but also spends the time and effort to make even the smaller details memorable and actually give you the level of immersion that Monolith does, I can only applaud the set studio. And granted, if the game has problems, I will criticize them, but I will give credit where credit's due. And this PC port really deserves a lot of praise for the amount of effort they put into it. I can adjust the resolution. I can choose which GPU I'm using. Granted, I only have one GPU, so not much of a choice there. I can limit my frame rate to 60 FPS or 30 FPS, but that's not something I'm gonna do. The minimum FPS for any game should be 60, and I am not going to get into an argument with you about this. You cannot change my mind about this. Granted, 30 FPS can be present in cutscenes, but when it comes to gameplay, 60 FPS is the minimum. It's just easier for the player to actually. I'm trying to explain this in the middle of the night, and I cannot think of a proper way of saying it. Basically, more frames per second means crisper movements and animations just run along smoothly. So the movement of the characters in the world and the world's dynamics feel more natural. 30 FPS is more cinematic, so some movements might seem slower for a reason. So let's go with that. If you're if you're curious about frame rates, I suggest you look them up on YouTube or Google them on Wikipedia's. There are smarter people who can actually explain this better than me. I just like talking about video games and how they well, not how they work, but how their mechanics and how well they're ported and how fun they are, basically. I can also video options. Well, somewhat. Well, I'm not gonna say limited, because if we skip to the advanced options, we'll be greeted by another video options menu, which allows us to fix the graphical quality and lighting quality from just the general setting to minute details such as shadow and texture quality, and also anti-aliasing. You can also choose the amount of vegetation and ambient occlusion, pixelation, which is a rendering technique that gives you displacement mapping, which gives you somewhat natural shadows and smaller crevices and edges. At least that's how I interpret it. Well, yeah, or we could just read the description, and it says that it gives you a more organic look to natural surfaces. Anyway, and if you want to adjust your audio settings, go to video settings, go to advanced options and adjust them there. This area, the video options are just a way to just an options menu that lets you choose which resolution and window mode you want to play in, and also which type of FPS you should use. By default, the game runs in a borderless window, which is, again, confusing to me, because if I'm playing a game, I want to play it at full screen, not in a borderless window. There isn't much of a difference, but if I accidentally press the Windows key on my keyboard, I might accidentally minimize the game window and get killed before due to an accident, not due to my own stupidity. Well, it's my own fault for pressing the key, but dying because of a misplaced key, and instead of making a mistake in utilizing the game's mechanics, is frustrating, and you'll probably see what I mean by that when we enter the game itself. In the game settings, we can adjust the aim sensitivity and mouse sensitivity, and also choose how the user interface, how big of a user interface we'll get in the game. Do we have outlined enemies? Do we get combat hints, which are basically graphical indications that someone is about to attack us, or that certain actions can be taken on stunned enemies? When will be displayed for us? And also, do we get those little arrows that point out that you're getting spotted by the enemy when you're creeping around? You can also, I suggest that you turn off the vibration, because I'm playing this on mouse and keyboard, so I'm not using a controller. And speaking of controls, let's take a look at the mouse and keyboard bindings, which are everything is rebindable, as you can already see, but there is one problem I have with the game, and that is multiple actions are bound to a single key, which is never a good thing. And I already said this in Batman Arkham Asylum, and I'll continue saying this. Do not bound multiple actions to a single key. It doesn't matter how similar the said actions are, they're not productive when you're playing the game when you're playing the game. Let's say that I want to run away from a strong enemy, and he starts attacking me with an unblockable attack. At that point, dodge prompt will activate, and I'll just jump to the side and probably and I'll probably jump in from the frying pan and into the fire. I'll probably jump off the cliff or jump into a bunch of enemies and get killed there. So I really hate it when the games that came out as consoles came out for consoles first get ported to the PC and nobody bothers to fix this issue. Yes, I know that consoles have limited control schemes or schematics when it comes to controllers, but on the PC you should be allowed to actually have the option to bound multiple actions to separate keys. But besides that, I like the idea that movement, combat, and menu controls have separate categories where I can actually just bound specific actions to a specific key. That's a nice touch, in my opinion. Benchmark is an option that just gives you benchmark is basically a test of sorts that tells you how many FPS you will get in the game by running a small animation of the game on your PC. We will not use it at the moment because I don't know how long it will take, and I want to go to the gameplay itself. So as you can see, I had the Game of the Year edition, which features several DLC, well, not only challenges but also stories, such as The Bright Lord and Lord of the Hunt, which focuses on different characters and their struggle against Sauron. And I also have some cosmetic items such as Captain of the Watch, other characters that appeared in the game, but for now we'll stick to Talion's default skin. As you can see, I do have a decent amount of hours in the game. I haven't completed it fully, but this is a first impressions video, and
Talion killed a nobleman, Yorith. His life now belongs to Gondor.
Father, if you turn my love in, I shall swear I killed Lord Asgon when he attacked me. We shall both sacrifice our lives to Gondor.
Yes, so as you can see, this is a first impressions video more than a review of the game. I tried to show you as much of the game itself, but I tried to avoid spoilers as well. And as you already saw, while the game loaded, we got some tidbits of Talion's past and through the usage of the audio clips. So welcome to Mordor, and as you can see, we are a ghost of some. We are a ranger and a ghost simultaneously. And as you can also see, the game has some similarities to Arkham Asylum when it comes to fighting and stealth. So luckily we do have a bunch of orcs here, so let's utilize the situation we're in and start simply fighting them. As you can see, the game... Well, what happened to the music? Soon for a second. Sound... Okay, I have no idea what happened to the music, but as you can see, the game has a lot of takes a lot of influence from Batman Arkham Asylum and the rest of the Arkham series of games. It heavily focuses on combat flow of attacking your enemies and countering their attacks, while also utilizing spells and other gadgets to deal with your enemies. So, for example, I can utilize my ghost to send a shockwave through the area and knock out most of the orcs. And then, as these guys are stunned, I can either finish them off with a well-placed stabbing, or just continue attacking them with a sword or a bow and arrow, or just throw a knife at them if I have it. Well, granted, I do have a bunch of knives due to my spiritual powers, or I can simply possess them with Darth Vader choke. As you can see, I just mentally possessed an orc and turned him into a slave of mine. Let's be honest. But the game isn't just about combat. For better or worse, the Middle-earth gameplay is more focused on stealth than anything else. As you can see, this orc noticed me, so I had to kill him. But if I'm smart, I'll just shimmy down the wall and let the orc explore the area.
He's dead!
And as the orcs are alarmed by the situation they're in, we can either kill them, possess them, or drag them towards a more dangerous area. For example, we can trick the orcs to... oh, bollocks. Trick the orcs to into attacking the Caragors, and then excuse me for a second, and then have them fight each other for my not amusement, but make my life easier when something bad happens. And as you can see, this Caragor has a very big health bar, which indicates that he's a Caragor in charge. So if we're smart, we will not utilize blow him up with fire. We will just attack the orcs. Oh, sorry, Carrie. We will utilize the orcs into fighting for us, and then help the slaves as they run away. And as you already saw, once the Caragor is sound fire, or any animal is sound fire, or anyone else is sound fire, they will get burned and run away in terror. And if it's an orc, he will remember that. And that leads us to the Nemesis system, which is the game's AI directory. Yeah, the game's AI directory. He will memorize your encounters with different orcs, and then adjust the orcs themselves to fight, how they fight, adjust the orcs' fighting techniques and their behavior in the future encounters, if the said orc survives the encounter itself. So as you can see, I'm currently using a lot of my free time to actually possess wild animals and orcs in order to get more powerful, and not only that, but kill off, to make my life easier when I want to. Oh, damn it! No, come on! To make my life easier when I traverse through the area. And also this demonstrates why I hate it when multiple actions are bound to the same key. As you already saw, I tried to avoid one of the Caragors. I tried to run away, and instead of dodging, I started running, which got me injured, and now I have to waste my time on finding local plants in order to regenerate my health. But since we're running away, let's utilize the Wraith division of the Elven Lord that's currently possessing Talion to see if we can find any orcs in the area or anything useful. Unfortunately, there is only a bunch of orcs and caragors fighting, so let's go there and try to help out the... Actually, these are caragors. They're capable of handling things on their own. As you can see, most of these orcs are scared of them, so we can just blow up the fire and injure most of our enemies. And we can also utilize stealth to kill off nearby orcs or possess them if need arises. If possible, I would recommend that you go for a subjugation route, because it will make your life easier if you're in the future situations. For example, if I have to deal with a bunch of orcs here, and most of them are either are capable of blocking my attacks or blocking my counters, I will have a hard time. But if I'm smart enough, I will utilize one of the orcs the possessed orcs, in order to distract the unpossessed ones, and then run away or kill them or possess them, depending on in which mood I am. As you can see, I just killed a bunch of orcs and possessed a few of them. And this is something that you should take notice of. While the orcs are of the same race, they are always at war with each other. So if you know how to utilize the captains and war chiefs, if you know how to push them against each other, you can actually find yourself in very interesting situations. Some war captains will actually remember you trying to manipulate your previous encounters with them into killing them or injuring them, or simply trying to push them into finding some different captain, and they will actually call you out for that. Granted, this system is rather confusing. This voice clip is rather confusing if you just started playing the game, because the first captain I encountered said, "You like pitting orcs against each other. Now let's see how you like it," or something in that manner. So, while the voice clips vary from captain to captain, if you just started playing, they will insult you for doing something you haven't done at all. And that can be very confusing, honestly. Granted, it's very fun to fight the said captains, because they have, well, I was already on one captain, so let's take a look at another one. As you can see, every captain has a list of strengths and weaknesses, and the stronger the captain is, the number of weaknesses is reduced, while the number of strengths is increased. So as you can see, this guy has only one specific weakness, and multiple strengths. He is invulnerable to ranged attacks, and he cannot be scared by wild animals. For example, he will only get angry when he sees them. But if you manage to actually possess the said captain, those strengths will become an asset to you. But if you're fighting against the captain with these strengths and weaknesses, you will just get annoyed. Granted, if you know how to position yourself and utilize in the situation you're in, you can actually pit the possessed captains against each other. Well, not against other possessed captains, but against non-possessed captains, and put them in places of power that will make your life easier if you're trying to possess, let's say an orcish war chief. as I'm about to do. So, we'll possess this guy. Well, we'll not possess him, we'll try to possess him and mark him as a target. And then get ready to fight him. But first, we will take a look at the rune system and our weapons. Talion, since Talion is a ranger in Lord of the Rings, he has three main weapons: a sword, which can be outfitted with magical runes that make his weapons more powerful. A bow and arrow, which help him get rid of enemies at a distance, and a dagger, which helps him kill orcs from stealth. And as you kill stronger orcs, such as, well, captains, basically, you will get runes. The stronger the captain, the stronger the rune, and you can equip 5 runes to every weapon. To be granted, you start off with 1 or 2 spaces open, and the rest you have to unlock with the in-game currency. But if you're not happy with the rune you can always exchange the unwanted rune for money, basically. As you can see, I haven't unlocked the last rune slot because I didn't have enough money, and because I wanted to save something to unlock for demonstrational purposes. So now let's unlock the last rune spot on the dagger and equip it with a stronger rune. So let's see. Stealth kill. Okay, let's use the stealth brand, which will give me more, which will recover my health once I manage to brand my opponents. And as you can see, every weapon has a legend attached to it, which is a power level of the said weapon as you partake in challenges. The more challenges you do, the more powerful the weapon, and I would recommend that you do them as quickly as possible, because it makes your life in Mordor easier. Finally, you can also utilize the game's RPG system that will unlock skill trees and abilities for Talion and make his life easier when he fights. So for one, I will, as you can see, I already unlocked a lot of his skills and abilities. And the interesting part about this skill tree is it has multiple tiers. As you can see, I have two level bars. As the red one is the power tier, which will unlock the next tier of the skill tree, but I already unlocked all of it. And the second bar, the blue bar, is the XP bar, which grants you the ability points once you manage to level up. So let's see, I'm thinking... I think we'll upgrade this one, and then take a look at the attributes menu, which lets me purchase additional traits for money. I exchange money for health and strong and rune slots in my weapons, as well as stamina bar and other minor traits in the game. Appendices are basically collectibles you find in the game. And the more you find them, the more money you get, and also you learn more about the world around you. Here we can learn about the monsters, we learn about and this one we learn about people. This is just the general lore of the Middle-earth we're currently in. Visions are basically cutscenes that you unlock once you find these story-related items, and these are the tutorial tutorial hints you can unlock as you progress through the game. So the interesting thing about artifacts, and for example, is the fact that once you find a memory on them, just give me a sec. I think I found one here. Oh no, this one isn't. Once you find a collectible, you have to search it in order to find a memory of sort. It's an audio clip that will tell you a story about the last character that carried the item in question, and tell you a bit more about the lore of the world you're in.
Are you Othelus or Hithless? I can't find anything in this almanac. Well, only one way to be sure. Cheers.
And I'm not gonna. I will play you a clip of it, but I never know how. The voice clips are usually short, but I never know how long they will take when they're voice acted. And once you find these memories, you'll be rewarded with some money. So exploration is fairly rewarded for those players that are willing to just run around and check the world they're in. As you can see, I just found another collectible, and yeah, screw it, I'm just gonna play it.
It's good, a coin of the realm. Sure, but it's the coin of Gondor's realm. If you don't want it, I didn't say that, Cap. But how about a few less of these and a little more of that elvish cloth you brought over from Eregion? I think we can do that.
So yeah, as you can see, we get small lore bits from the world.
Wealth will not save Gondor. Uruk do not care for trinkets.
Sauron will use gold to buy allies among the kingdoms of men.
So as you can see, the world of Middle-earth is, or at least Mordor, is not a friendly place. So if you know what, so you have to be very careful of what you're doing and where you're running. It can be rewarding if you're careful and plan your actions accordingly. So for example, I'm just going to run here and partake in a mission of assassinating Grisha the Serpent, who is an elite war chief, and I did possess his only bodyguard, so my life here this mission should be relatively easy. But
slaughter in stealth to bring out this war chief.
Yes, as you can see. But in order to kill or an attack a war chief, I have to do some actions beforehand. So for example, if I want to get the war chief out of hiding, I have to kill several of his supporters by killing them without being seen. So hopefully this will count as a stealth kill if I... Nope, it will not. I have to really stay crouched and just get rid of these guys before they notice me. Granted, I can also utilize the environment to my advantage.
Because while he was arse over elbow on grog, he picked up his sword by the wrong end.
For example, I can attract
Someone's sneaking about.
the patrolling orcs closer to my position and then brand them or kill them. And if I'm careful with my positioning, I can actually get some allies. Oh shit! Okay, this nearly turned into a catastrophe. So as you can see, yeah, you have to be creative about how you approach your opponents. You can either who spotted me? You can actually use magic to get closer. You can use magic to close the distance between you and other orcs, and then possess them on the spot, or you can utilize the environmental attacks, such as explosive barrels, if I can find any. Oh, there it is. Such as explosive barrels over there, to kill other orcs. Or you can actually climb up, poison the said barrels, and then wait for the orcs in question to come closer and poison themselves. So you have a lot of options. You have multiple actions on how to kill, on how to deal with the orc threat in Middle-earth. The smartest one is usually possessing the orcs and then letting them fight each other. Personally, I hate this option because, one, if I'm trying to gather an army to kill off a big camp full of enemies, I will probably there we go. I will probably, if I'm planning on attacking a stronghold or a camp full of enemy orcs, I will probably try to possess as many orcs as I can and let them fight each other, or simply poison a barrel and have the orcs in question fight each other. Or just distract them enough, or create a distraction for myself, and then run away from the area before I get discovered. As you can see, one of the orcs is about to sound the alarm because a bunch of orcs killed each other for no apparent reason aside from a poisoned grog barrel. But this makes my life easier because, one, the majority of these orcs are my targets and I just have to kill them stealthily and then drag out their captain. Unfortunately, there are no explosive barrels here, so I cannot just
soon enough, the Dark Lord will be here. What was that? Hope he doesn't kill every slave in the land.
So I cannot simply trick them into trick them into attacking each other again. I have to utilize other tactics. I'm glad that the game actually utilizes different mechanics and forces me to think on my feet. For example, the stronghold is alerted, so most of these guys will actively search for the intruder and try to kill me. So I cannot rely on the same spot to just jump on top of other orcs. I'll have to utilize other tactics. So as you can see, when I use a bow and arrow, I can actually slow down time to give myself time to think and run the hell away, and also utilize other attacks that allow me to run. Utilize other attacks that will let me either possess the orcs, drain their health, and recharge my arrows. But once I'm discovered, most of the possessed orcs in the general area will start attacking my enemies, which is a big problem because I was trying to carefully set up the captains in order to get in order to get them into positions of power. And now I am kinda stuck in a bind, because I cannot simply lock onto a specific orc. The game's camera will do so automatically, and which is rather annoying in my opinion, because now I wasted a perfectly good opportunity to kill the last orc. And come on, move, you stupid idiot! To kill the last orc and get the war chief out of hiding. Now I have to redo. Now I have to run away and try to get the orc captain. No, he's here. And why the hell isn't the music playing again? Oh boy, never mind. I have to run. So as you can see, I managed to get the orc captain out of hiding, and his bodyguard is with him. So if you're a smart player, you will actually... Come on, get up there! So if you're a smart player, you will just... You will hide and try to utilize your situation to your advantage. And if the stronghold is alerted, they will automatically start searching for...
All rock.
They will automatically start searching everything, and they will find you rather quickly. So stealth and discretion are a better part of valor on this one. So as you can see, this captain is vulnerable to beasts, so I'm going to unleash the Caragor and try to scare him off, and then possess him in the while he runs away. Or, since he's not running away, I'm just gonna run around and try to possess the majority of these orcs. Granted, if I didn't have to run around like an idiot. So many orcs around this area and no explosive barrels. Such a waste. But luckily, some of my possessed orcs are in the midst of the situation we're in, so we might be able to... No. Unfortunately, we cannot just snipe the orc war chief down. We have to plan the situation. We have to plan accordingly. So, as you can see, the orc captains will frequently get reinforced by... No! For fuck's sake! He was right in front of me! Why would you...
Dead man! Creeping about in the dark. Move like a rat. Die like a rat.
So, as you can see, this is the situation. This is the stupid situation I'm in. Due to rather unreliable lock-on mechanics, I just missed an opportunity to attack the incoming captain or possess the incoming captain. So now I have to run away and utilize the environmental hazards to my advantage. For example, I just destroyed the bait over there, and no. Okay, so much for capturing that captain. We'll have to make do with capturing the war chief himself. Hopefully, the orcs will be distracted by the situation we're in. We'll be distracted by the Caragors, so we can actually...
You cannot escape the Dark Lord's shadow.
Okay, we will not kill this warlord, we will just possess him, and voila! We just got ourselves a very, very powerful captain. Which is... I'm just glad that this plan worked partially, because you can position a lower class captain you possessed into a position of power, but that takes a lot of babysitting and effort, which is rather annoying. Oh god, no. No, you're not killing my captain. Stupid Caragors. Okay, so one fault with this plan is you usually run the risk of losing the captains you possessed, or soldiers you possessed before. No, don't you dare. Basically, the problem with the game is you run the risk of losing soldiers due to the unpredictable state of the world. Which I'm okay with dynamics, with a game that has a dynamic system of power such as this, with the Nemesis system, which automatically records your previous encounters with orcs, and then gives them strengths and weaknesses depending on your last encounter if the said orc survives the encounter. But it's rather annoying when the possessed orcs are killed by random NPCs or monsters. For example, seriously, this was not part of my plan. But anyway, as you can see, I just set the captain on fire, and hopefully he will develop a... Well, he won't develop anything for now, but in the future he will either get enraged by being set on fire, or he will become pyrophobic, whichever comes first. The second part of the Nemesis system is it will automatically promote orcs into captains and war chiefs depending on the positions that are left in the army. So as you can see, I just opened up some space due to the death of certain captains that were either possessed or unpossessed. I have some positions open, leadership positions open, and they will be taken over by new captains. Granted, most of these orcs will usually be unfriendly towards me, so I'll have to find them and possess them again. But if I find a possessed orc, I can actually tell him to go for the position of power if I find him. So the more orcs you possess in the world, the easier your job is. Granted, most of the world, the majority of the game, will randomly generate additional orcs, whether you like it or not. So the numbers will never be the same when it comes to the orc numbers. For example, at the moment, when I started playing, before I started recording, I had a very big army in the world, but unfortunately, once I restarted the game, the majority of my forces are gone missing, and I have to repossess them again. Granted, if I do encounter them in the world, the number of possessed orcs will grow soon. But I would prefer it if I could actually have my orcs in place without losing them. As you can see, that orc over there, these two orcs over there, are possessed by me, and because I got spotted, they started fighting everyone. And that will get them killed rather quickly. I kind of wish that the game gave me the ability to just choose the type of behavior I'm going to use on my orcs. Because now, no, I don't want this guy. No, I want this guy. No, for fuck's sake. So as you can see, the camera controls are rather annoying, and unfortunately, you cannot partake in certain actions without... Oh, fuck the love of... You cannot partake in some actions without being interrupted by by other orcs attacking you. No, okay, this is the second part I hate about multiple actions being bound to a single key. I'm trying to possess one guy and I stun him instead. So as you can see, there are some problems with the game. The Nemesis system itself is a rather fun one. You can... the story progresses... The story feels organic because, one, you have some history with the orcs you encountered. And their encounters with you and your deaths will actually create an organic story for you where you actually try to get revenge on an orc that killed you, or try to possess him and increase his power in order to get a better rune for it. So let's see, yeah. The orc that got killed was a level 11, and he left a very... well, I'm not gonna say useless... well, it is a useless rune because I have a bunch of epics already, so... I'm just gonna convert it to money. But, as I was saying, the Nemesis system creates a very interesting dynamic for you. It takes note of what you did in the world and actually modifies the orcs so they can anticipate your movements. So as you already saw, the orcs will discuss your previous actions in the world and actually look for you at specific points over the ledges when they're alerted in order to kill you. Or they will try to avoid barrels because if you poison them frequently, they will try to avoid them. The captains will grow stronger or weaker depending on your attacks and depending on your previous interactions, and depending on the situation, you can actually get more orcs to fight for you or against you, or just get the orcs to fight against each other or fight for you, whichever comes first. Same goes for animals. And this is honestly something that makes Mordor really interesting. It has a dynamic world to it. It has interesting mechanics that reward exploration and also force you to adapt your strategies on the fly. So I can fight these orcs head on and get overrun because a new patrol of orcs will always come around when I'm not expecting it. And if luck would have it, the said patrol will feature a captain that's not possessed and get me killed. And once I die, I will get revived at... Actually, yeah, let's show you that. Once I die, I will get revived at these towers that are waypoints and also places where you can actually fast forward the time in order to get new captains or get new missions. And they also reveal the sections of the map, which is always interesting. Granted, I'm not a big fan of open world maps because it's usually just their sizes that's impressive and nothing else. But these ones have actually some, well, they do have content in them, but most of that content is quickly revealed once you unlock the waypoint, which is it kind of defeats the purpose of an open world exploration. But for what it is, it's a fun orc murder simulation, or Middle Earth a war simulation. Let's be more precise. It's Assassin's Creed in Middle Earth for all intents and purposes. You stealth around, you manipulate your enemies into attacking each other, or utilize the environment to kill the said enemies or possess them. It has Batman, and it has some Batman Arkham mechanics, and these are well implemented into the game. Would I recommend that you play the sequel? Well, honestly, no, because one, the sequel to this game had a lot of microtransactions in it, which ruined the experience for a lot of players. And also, if I purchased this game when it was first released, I would probably review bomb it because Warner Brothers wanted to manipulate the reviewers. And no, I do. Oh, for the love of! I mean, yes, the game has some other problems, as you can see already. The environment we're in will cause you to lose orcs left and right due to unforeseen circumstances, and you cannot possess, and it's almost impossible to possess everything in the world. Second, no, I already mentioned that. I was talking about the reviews themselves, manipulation. As I was saying, when the game was coming out, the Warner Brothers Studios tried to force the reviewers, the well-known reviewers, to sign up review contracts with the that basically allowed Warner Brothers to censor any negative criticism. Joel Biscuit and Jim Sterling were among the most vocal members of the gaming community that actually revealed this. That revealed this attempt at manipulation. Basically, Warner Brothers actively tried to force people to sign agreements that will let them check the reviews that from the journalists and either prevent the reviewer from posting the said video or the review, or allow the said review to be posted. So it was pretty scummy, and I'm somewhat confused by this. The game is good. It runs smoothly. There are no graphical hitches or anything. There are no game-breaking bugs or anything. But Warner Brothers went with this scummy attempted manipulation. Why didn't they have any? Conviction is not a word. Faith in their product it's rather baffling to me. But for what it's worth, the game itself is a fun one. I do enjoy playing. Well, I do enjoy playing the open world segments more than the story modes themselves, because I have the freedom of movement and choice when it comes to approaching the fights in front of me. Story modes are usually the story mode is usually fairly restrictive. Granted, you do have a lot of you are given the mission area, but if you're not following a specific plan of action that the developers put in for you, the mission is automatically considered either abandoned or failed. But that's a problem with most open world games. And I think that's about it I can tell you about the game. It's a fun orc murder simulation, and Assassin's Creed that Assassin's Creed wishes to be. I really think you should play this when it's on. You should purchase this when it's on sale. I wouldn't recommend. I don't know if I would recommend Shadow of War sequel because I haven't played it, but this, for what I'm getting for my money's worth, this is a good game and well worth your money. You get a lot of challenges, you get a lot of lore from the Middle-earth mythos, and there are some minor frustrations to it, sure, but the amount of fun you can have while playing and exploring the world is immensely satisfying. So, yeah, just repeat. If you're fighting head-on, be careful of incoming patrols, because if you're fighting a captain or a patrol, be ready to fight at least five more of them, because there's always an extra patrol in the area. And also, try ambushing your opponents before you attack anyone. As you can see, using explosive objects will make your life easier once the fighting starts. And also utilize hit and run tactics if you're planning on possessing multiple orcs. And try to avoid fighting if you have possessed captains or soldiers in the area you're operating in. They will automatically start fighting everyone else if you're spotted. So, with that, I think we can end this video. My name has been Bedomy. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.